were last seen at their home on Matthew Street in the Brunswick neighborhood on July 25th, 2015. Bynum has been described by family as developmentally disabled, and they believe at the time the then 21-year-old may have taken her nephew on a walk and got lost. Their disappearance prompted a massive search. Flyers were posted throughout the city. Law enforcement and search dogs went through abandoned homes and dense areas. But despite all efforts, both Bynum and Walker have still not been found.
Of Jesus, let no man bring me harm. I bear the marks of the Lord. So let no man bring me harm. I bear the marks of Jesus. Let no man bring me harm, 'cause I bear the marks of God. Do you hear the lion roar? Stand with me. Fight the war. Do you hear the lion roar? Come on, stand with me. We'll fight the war. Hey!
I think that the police dropped the ball from the very beginning. I don't think that they completely did their jobs. If they had, maybe Diamond and King would be home now.
Before I go any further, I just wanted to explain how the podcasts are going to be done. There are going to be numerous podcasts, so all of the information will not be covered in this podcast. We are just getting started, and we are just really digging and sorting through a lot of information, news media, social media, conversations with those who followed the case from the beginning, conversations with family, friends. It's a lot to cover. Now, as we go along, we may learn new information. We may be able to confirm some information or disprove information. So there may be podcasts down the road where we refer back to part one to clarify some things as we go along. For this podcast, part one, we're going to start from the bottom. Who are Diamond and King? Who are their immediate family members? Meaning, who are the mothers? Who are the fathers? Who are the grandparents? It's important to include them because they are part of the lives of the two that are missing. Not only are they worried about where these two are, if they are okay, they also tend to become targeted in missing persons cases. Things get misconstrued, they get bullied, they become suspects. The news media does interviews and maybe only reports clips of conversations that can make them look like they're not being truthful. So we're going to start there. Down the road, we will do a podcast that just specifically deals with the MAP area, law enforcement searches, family searches, canine tracking, their scent. That all will be in one specific podcast. But for now, we're just going to touch on the basics, including the circumstances of when they went missing and where they went missing from, some law enforcement reports, and hopefully clearing up a few things. If you have any questions, feel free to join our Facebook group, or you can always leave any of your questions here on our YouTube channel.
The first day that they went missing, they didn't take it serious. And if they would have took it more serious the first day and got the Amber Alert right away, they would have been home.
First thing we're going to do is identify the two missing individuals in this case, the first being Diamond Bynum. Diamond, at the time of her disappearance, was a 21-year-old African-American female who lived in Gary, Indiana. Diamond lived in Gary, Indiana with her father, Eugene Bynum, and her stepmother, Susanne Bynum. Susanne Bynum has also been referred to as Michelle, but for the sake of this podcast, we are going to refer to her the way that law enforcement has referenced her as Susanne Bynum. Eugene, Susanne, and Diamond had recently moved to Gary, Indiana from Hammond, Indiana. They had been living in Gary for less than a year before Diamond and King disappeared. It's stated that Diamond would frequent stores that had food when they lived in Hammond, but there was not an issue in Hammond because supposedly Diamond was familiar with the area, she knew her way around, and the neighbors also knew her as well. Diamond has Prader-Willi syndrome, and people with this diagnosis tend to be a bit shorter in stature, commonly have intellectual disabilities, and uncontrolled appetite that can lead to extreme obesity. Diamond also had a few physical disabilities that were pretty obvious. She walked with a limp, and it's been said that when she does walk, she kind of carries one arm up higher. The limp is due to disability with one of her legs. So one of her legs is severely bowed, which pretty much limits how fast she can move and how far she can go. Okay, so the next person we're going to talk about in this podcast is King Rajan Walker. King was reported missing and alleged to be in the company of his aunt, Diamond Bynum. Both Diamond and King were alleged to have disappeared together from the home in Gary, Indiana. At the time of his disappearance, King was described as a 2-year-old African-American child. He weighed about 32 pounds and stood about 3 feet tall. He often visited with Eugene and Susanne and Diamond at their home in Gary, Indiana. It's been reported that his mother would often drop him off there on the weekends while she attended cosmetology school, so it wasn't unusual for him to be there on the weekend. As for King's family members, we're going to go over that real quick. His father is Joshua Williams, but King resided with his mother, Ariana Walker, on a full-time basis. The other connection here is that Ariana is Diamond's sister. Diamond and Ariana share the same parents, who are Eugene Bynum, who we discussed earlier in the podcast, and LaShawn Walker. Therefore, that makes Diamond and King nephew and aunt. The fact that King was in the care of Diamond was pretty concerning because Diamond's maturity level was about that of a 7-year-old. There is absolutely no way she could care for herself on a long-term basis, let alone a very active toddler. So the two of these individuals together would be like 2 children together on the street. There aren't any significant characteristics to mention regarding King. There haven't been any physical or cognitive disabilities reported. The most significant and challenging aspect is that King would look different now. At the time of his disappearance, he was 2 years old. He was a little toddler. His vocabulary was very limited. Now he would lose that toddler appearance. His vocabulary would be a bit more expanded, and he would look more like a young boy. NCMEC provided an age progression photo, and while it might not be exact, it does provide a general idea of how his facial features may look as he matures. Okay, we're going to move forward and go through the case overview, the initiating events, and the day that both Diamond and King were reported missing. So what you're going to see on the screen is some of the entries that law enforcement made into their report. So anytime you see law enforcement entry in the blue, that's actual police report information. Okay, Saturday, July 25th, 2015 at 11:12 a.m. So this is the time that the initial call was placed to Gary PD to report both Diamond and King missing. The report lists that the event occurred between 10:30 a.m. and 11:12 a.m. The event would mean, in this case, the time of disappearance. So basically, probably the last time that somebody had seen them. So sometime between 10:30 a.m. and 11:12 a.m. when the phone call was placed to Gary PD, both Diamond and King disappeared. And the context of the call, the caller in this report is Susanne Bynum. This is a law enforcement entry on what transpired during that initial phone call. Caller states that her 21-year-old mentally handicapped daughter and her 2-year-old grandson are missing. Caller states her daughter's name is Diamond Bynum. Black female, heavy build, short in stature. And at this point, there was an unknown clothing description entered at the time of the call. Also missing is her 2-year-old grandson, King Walker, last seen wearing a blue shirt and red shorts. Another entry on the case is made by law enforcement. They enter information on Diamond, list her as missing, and categorize her as other. They also enter other identifying information. Law enforcement then enters information on King Walker, lists him as missing, and categorizes him as a juvenile. They go on to enter his identifying information. Another entry, again, lists him as a missing 2-year-old weighing 40 pounds and his hair is braided. Last seeing red shorts, blue shirt, and miscellaneous white gym shoes, in the company of his mentally challenged Aunt Bynum, who is a black female, 4'8", 238 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, and brown complexion. That ends the record for this particular entry. Moving on to another law enforcement entry. This is the supplement police report with the same incident number 15GO38984. They list the victims as Diamond Bynum and King Walker. The responsible officer that was listed at the beginning of the report was Jay Garza, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that this is the officer that was dispatched to the home to take a physical report, being that this is a bigger, more in-depth entry than the first. Susanne Bynum reports that around 10 a.m. on today's date, she, Diamond Bynum, her stepdaughter, and King Walker, her grandchild, all took a nap in her bedroom. When she woke up from the nap around 11:10 a.m., she discovered that Diamond Bynum and King Walker were not in the residence. The front door was unlocked. Susanne Bynum advised that Diamond Bynum is a 21-year-old African-American child and was last seen wearing blue pants. King Walker is a 2-year-old African-American child and was last seen wearing red shorts, a blue shirt, and white gym shoes. Susanne advises that Diamond Bynum wanders off and tends to go to stores that sell food products. She also advised that Diamond walks with a limp and that one of her legs is bowed. IDEX numbers are entered for both Diamond and King.
Haven't got any answers, and it's just, we don't know what else to do. We're trying to keep the faith and believe that the Lord is going to bring them home.
This concludes our first episode of Diamond and King Uncovering the Truth, Podcast 1. Please join us for Podcast 2, where we discuss more contents of the police report, search efforts, K9 scent tracking areas, and go over a full map of all the search areas and other points of interest. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on our Facebook discussion group, Diamond and King Uncovering the Truth, or you can contact us right here at our YouTube channel. Also, a website is now available in hopes of circulating Diamond and King's story. All information will be uploaded to the site for ease of viewing and sharing, including links to our podcast channel, maps, and other documents. If you can, please share the website link and spread the word on their case. They're out there somewhere, and I promise you, someone holds the answer.